Shalom. It has been laid upon my heart to speak about things that we're seeing in this world and shed some light on it. Not many ministries are discussing the end times, and when they do, they mostly focus on the rapture. But one subject in particular is not being mentioned, and it's one of the most important things that we need to be vigilant on right now. We are going to speak out about something that almost nobody anywhere talks about. We are going to expose the darkness of the great deception. The Great Deception is much bigger and goes much deeper than most people realize, and this will have to be addressed in multiple messages. This is part 1. Hear these words, "A trap has been set," from Jeremiah chapter 5. This people has a disobedient and rebellious heart. They have turned aside and gone back. They've turned away from Yah and they've turned towards the world back to sinful ways. Let us now fear Yahuwah our Elohim, which gives us the early and the latter rain. This prophecy is speaking to us today because the end times is when the latter rain of the pouring out of the set-apart Spirit is going to come, according to the season of the fulfillment of the ordinance of the harvest. The time of the fulfillment of the harvest ordinance is shown in Revelation 14 at the season of his coming. So this prophecy is clearly a warning for us right now. Your sins have removed good things from you. Your transgressions have turned away these good things, which are his promises. For among my people were found wicked men, and they have set snares to destroy men, and they have caught them as a snare which has been set full of birds. The houses of the wicked are full of deceit. The wicked are the ones that have grown great, become rich, and have set the snares, and they have transgressed the rule of judgment. Yahweh says, "Shall not my heart be avenged on a nation such as this?" Do we all recognize the nation and the world that we're in right now in these words? We should. Many shocking and horrible deeds have been done on the land. The prophets now utter unrighteous prophecies, fables of vanity that did not come from him. And the priests clap their hands at these prophecies and false teachings. And furthermore, the people of this land love hearing these lies. Fables that scratch itching ears. 2 Timothy 4, verses 3 and 4. And what will all of you do for the future when it shall all come to pass? When what all comes to pass? What we're speaking about right now, the snares. This is the great deception, and it takes a while to really understand how wide and how deep this deception is going on right now, and even more, how long it has really been going on. The book of Revelation says that the dragon deceived the whole world. The dragon deceived the whole world. The beast deceives them that dwell on the earth. The great men deceived all the nations, and the beast even deceived those that received the mark of the beast and deceived those that worshiped the image of the beast. I'm saying this again because many people think that there will be a conscious choice, and you'll clearly see it. It says right there in Revelation, the beast deceived those that received the mark of the beast and deceived those that worshiped the image of the beast. Go read Revelation again. The truth is there. And that's an evil deception right there, because many people now have the false understanding that it'll be a straightforward yes or no answer for everyone when the mark of the beast comes to pass. And they think they will easily see it coming, will just say no when it happens, and they'll be saved from that mark, and they will not worship the image of the beast. But guess what, everyone? It's a deception. It's part of the great deception. It's coming. People will take the mark of the beast and not know it, because that's what the scripture says. And people will worship the image of the beast and not realize what they're doing, because that is what the scripture says. So we have to be very vigilant in these times. This is part of this great deception that is soon coming. And we're going to break this great deception down to show just how very overwhelming it is. And I call it great just in terms of the size and the vastness of the deception. It is certainly not great from the standpoint of us who diligently seek the kingdom of heaven. And we're going to start with the easy part of the great deception. The world is a deception. From 1 John chapter 2, love not the world, neither the things that are in this world. If any man loves this world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, this is not of the Father, but it is of the world. And you can just basically go down line by line for every single institution and organization and power structure and everything you see in the world right now. Governments, military, medical organizations, financial organizations, business corporations, yes, religions, media, education systems, science, history, entertainment. It's all a lie. The world is full of lies and deceit and fabrications, snares set up to entrap people in every which way under the sun. O brothers and sisters, keep that which is committed to your trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Profane and vain babblings. Social media and TV shows are overflowing with that right now. We are told to avoid all of these things. We avoid things that are of no value, that are vanity, that are vain, and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Science has been built up to discount everything that's in the scriptures. The evidence that our Father has left on the earth to show us his truth are discounted by science. The things we see all around us in the world that show his glory and his creation, discounted by science as having the hand of an intelligent creator upon them. Profane and vain babblings, oppositions of science, falsely so called, which in times past you yourselves walked according to the course of this world. We were part of these profane babblings. We believed the science at one time, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience. That's a big statement right there. We know who the prince of the power of the air is. That is the adversary, Hasatan, Satan, the dragon, the devil. And consider the air. There is so much power in the air because that's where the communications of the world go through. Everyone's cell phones, the internet, satellite communications, all now go through the air with microwaves, radio waves, millimeter frequency waves, and even more. And we're not even adding in the Air Force and the Space Force weapons. Could anyone from 2,000 years ago, Peter, Paul, have had any clue on their own about the technology and the power of the air today? Not without understanding that was given from the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit. Paul is warning us, a warning that was given to him directly through the Spirit, the prince of the power of the air and his children of disobedience. The warnings are for us, and they are urgent. We are soldiers of the kingdom of heaven, trapped behind enemy lines right now and having to use the enemy's communication lines when we talk to each other and spread the gospel for the good of the kingdom of heaven. Occupy until he comes. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men and the rudiments of the world. These are the people that are going to try to take you off the narrow path of the truth. We seek his truth. We follow the Lamb. We are trying to set ourselves apart from the traditions of men and the rudiments of the world. But people, scoffers, are going to try to take you off of that narrow path through philosophical reasoning, lies, vain deceit, and traditions of men. For the people that are being deceived, let the meanest of men spoil his goods, and let his counsel deceive him. His foot is also caught in a snare and in a net, and let multiple snares come upon him. His snare is hid in the earth, and that which shall take him is by the path. What we just saw with all of the things of the world, the snare that is hidden in the earth, that everything is a lie, and it's all a snare to take you away from the truth. Look at it this way. While we walk the straight and narrow path, the adversary puts up exit signs by that narrow path. Those exit signs are the snares that are hidden in the earth. The adversary does not care which exit you take. He just wants you to get off of the narrow path and get onto a path that leads to destruction. Anything of the world, it's not of the Father, it's not of the kingdom of heaven. Ignore those things. Stay focused on Him. Stay on the narrow path. There's a whole world full of exit paths to take you off that narrow path. Take none of them. Stay on the narrow path. This is also the time of curses. The beginning of Deuteronomy chapter 28 states the promise that if you follow the word of Yah today and hearken to Him, there will be many, many blessings that He will bestow upon you. But then, starting in verse 15, it is stated that there are curses that will be applied to those who are disobedient to the word of Yah. And it shall come to pass that if you will not hearken to the voice of Yahweh to observe all of His commandments, then all of these curses shall come all upon you and overtake you. And you shall have above your head a sky of brass, and the earth underneath you shall be iron. And in case you don't know, brass is a man-made alloy, not found in nature. This is the first time in history that our sky can literally be made of brass, because brass signifies the alloys of the communications and the war satellites and the missiles and the fighter jets and the bombers, etc., and everything that is flying all above us right now as a part of the power of the air, all under the god of this age, Hasatan, Satan. The world underneath you shall be iron. Now remember Nebuchadnezzar's dream in Daniel chapter 2, the head of gold, and then it went down to the legs of iron and the feet made of iron and clay. The iron is from the adversary, the strength of the adversary that is not broken until Messiah comes down and destroys it. That strength is now in the earth and is covering the earth. That's telling you that the beast system, the strength of the adversary, is to its fullness right now at the time of the brass that is over your head. Hello, that's where we are. It gets worse. Or better, because as it gets worse, we know that His coming approaches even closer, right? Yah shall make the rain of your land dust. Going to say that again. Yah shall make the rain of your land dust, and dust shall come down from heaven until it has destroyed you. Does anybody know what chemtrails are? Do you see it? Do you see it now? Chemtrails is a curse of the law. I'm going to read it again. You shall make the rain of your land dust, as in aluminum, barium, and strontium oxides and sulfates, which is what chemtrails are usually composed of. And that dust shall come down from those chemtrails until it has destroyed you. Your crops, your animals, your water, your body. This is prophecy coming to pass, a curse of lawlessness being fulfilled right before our eyes in these very days, and almost everybody is asleep. And so many discount things like chemtrails as hearsay, fact-checking channels, Snopes.com, and all the rest. There's an army of disinformation people out there that are getting paid to destroy and hide the truth. The children of disobedience, vain babblings, science falsely so-called, using the power of the air that the God of this age controls. Do you see that? Scoffers using philosophy and vain deceit. Don't believe them. Believe His words. Believe the scriptures. They've warned us, and now you see it above you. Tic-tac-toe signs being scrawled in the sky in clouds that stay there for hours. And there's even a website right there, a YouTube channel where a brave lady named Kristen Megan from the U.S. Air Force, a materials expert, came out in 2014 and was the whistleblower on all of this. She even included her email. It's in that YouTube channel. If you don't believe it, send her an email. You can put a glass outside when it rains and you can send it to a place and they'll measure what's in it. That's a way to prove it to yourself if you are still a doubting Thomas. And let health be utterly banished, and let distress seize upon him with a command from the king. His roots shall be dried up from beneath, and his crop shall fall away from above. Signs and curses, and Yahweh shall bring upon you every plague that is not written in the book of this law. So in addition to the curses that are listed in the second half of Deuteronomy 28, Yah says that there are even more curses that are not listed that will come upon you. Revelation 13 says, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and that beast does great wonders so that he may make fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. Now, many people have thought that that fire would be similar to Solomon at the dedication of the altar at the first temple, where at the commonly expected third temple, the Antichrist would show up and say, fire, come down from heaven, and kaboom, fire. Guess what? Revelation says multiple times that the world will be deceived by the beasts in the end times. Do you believe his word? Do you believe his prophecy? It is going to be a deception. Now, I'm going to read a direct quote from 2020 by the United States Department of Defense Secretary. He said, in quotes, emerging technologies are fundamentally altering the character of warfare. In the years ahead, wars will be fought in outer space in unprecedented ways through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more. That is a direct quote. The video is out there and it is listed at the bottom right now. Recently, Lahaina, Maui, the whole town, it got burned down to the ground except for a few mansions. And they say it was a brush fire and maybe a power line that started it, and then a hurricane-force wind swept it across the city before anybody could do anything, and many people died. They say, they being the media and the government, the world of deception. But if you look at the truth underneath, away from the mainstream channels, away from the government sources, you can find out that they are lying. This is a picture of an oval-shaped ring of fire that's basically circling around that town that was burned down. If you know anything about how fire spreads, it will start and the wind will push it in a certain direction and there will be a pretty straight fire line. And sometimes there'll be a bulge in that fire line as the wind pushes it. But the wind is going to push the fire in the direction that the wind is blowing. There are many wildfire pictures that you can go look at to see how fires naturally move. They said that the winds were 60 miles per hour supposedly that night that blew that fire onto the city. So tell me, how can you get an oval of fire encircling that town when the winds are pushing 60 miles per hour towards the ocean? The answer is you can't. You can't. That town in Hawaii received a directed energy weapon strike by the beast against the people of Hawaii. Fire came down from the sky in the sight of the whole world. Revelation 13:13. The scriptures speak, lawless men burn down a city. Your land is desolate, your cities burned with fire. Strangers devoured in your presence, and it is made desolate, overthrown by strange nations. It's not the first time this has happened either. Paradise, California is another. I personally know multiple people that lived through that fire and that experience and still speak about how their houses burned completely to the ground, steel melting, but all of the bushes surrounding the houses, right by the houses, were still green. But understand again, this is prophecy being fulfilled right before our very eyes, and the world is being deceived as the prophecy states. Part of the great deception is the world. These are just some of the main things. The United Nations, International Monetary Fund, cybercurrency, social credit scores, medical, religions, climate, technology, entertainment, media, everything. And the crown is there in the middle. When you look into each of them, they're all components of this one world government-based system, a takeover that's setting the stage for the dragon, Satan, and his great wrath upon the world. The anti-Messiah is in the world right now, working very hard to help set everything up. Don't be deceived by that either. The next part of the great deception that we're going to look at is the seed war. The seed war starts all the way back in Genesis. Let us make man according to our image and likeness. Who is us? The Father and the Son together from the very beginning. We are made in the image of our Creator. But when Adam and Eve sinned, Yah said to the serpent, I will put enmity between you and the woman and between your seed and her seed. Enmity is defined from the Hebrew word as hostility, hatred. This is hostility between the seed of the woman and the serpent, the seed war. Giants came upon the earth when the sons of Yah went in to see the daughters of men. These are the fallen angels that came to the women, and Enoch goes into much detail about this. The offspring of the fallen angels and the women were the Nephilim, the giants in Genesis 6, verse 4. But Noah found grace or favor before Yah. Noah was a just man, and he was righteous. Then it goes on and says, Noah was also perfect in his generation, and as such, well-pleasing to Yah. But the earth was corrupted. Now, many people think when reading this is that Noah was perfect, completely sin-free. But do you know what? He wasn't perfect. No man is perfect but one, the set-apart one of Israel, our Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach. Perfection in his generation are the key words here. The Hebrew word for perfect is hamim, which means without blemish, perfect without a spot, or undefiled. But the earth, the entirety of the rest of the earth, was corrupted before Yah. Corrupted from the Hebrew word shahat, which means ruined, corrupted, destroyed. Putting all of this together, the scriptures are telling us that Noah was the very last family patriarch on earth that still had the pure, unbroken image of Yah in his DNA that he gave to Adam originally. The DNA of the rest of the world had been corrupted by the adversary already, and it had been corrupted by the demons going in to see the daughters of men and creating the Nephilim. And when Yah saw that Noah was the last righteous and undefiled patriarch, he decided to stop the adversary's advancing plans to destroy the seed of the woman and destroy the rest of mankind completely. That is why the flood came upon the earth. It stopped the plan of Hasatan to destroy man, to destroy earth, to destroy the seed of the woman, to destroy the image of Yahweh from the face of the earth. The flood is part of the seed war, and it took the adversary a very long time to recover from the flood, but he has. Hasatan is set to destroy mankind again, but he has different plans this time, different devices. The angel said, Babylon has fallen and has become a habitation of devils. This land is full of devils right now. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And Babylon, your merchants are the great men of the earth right now, for by their sorceries are all nations being deceived right now. And in Babylon is found the blood of the prophets and the saints and all that are slain and have been slain and will be slain upon the earth. That is Revelation 18, happening right now. That prophecy is happening right now. And the key word is sorcery. The word sorcery in Greek is pronounced pharmakia. Does that sound familiar? It should. Pharmakia is defined as medication, pharmacy, which is by extension in his eyes, our Father's eyes, sorcery and witchcraft. So by the pharmacies and the medications, the pharmakia made by the great merchants of the earth were all nations deceived. This should be obvious to everyone now. The events of the last 3 years plus match this prophecy exactly. But if you still need it spelled out, it's COVID. Now, the illness itself is an engineered plague, but what the prophecy focuses in on is the pharmakia, the jab, the medication, the sorcery that they deceived over 5 billion people from all nations into taking. Now there is a growing number of people that have had their eyes opened to this particular deception, but almost no one did when it started for real in 2020. But the beginning of the pharmakia deception started way before that, decades before, all the way back to the Rockefellers and others, and even back to the 1800s, when they started to put away and discount natural plant-based remedies to heal and bring in man-made products that were said to heal. but it cranked up in 2020. It was time for the final battle of the seed war to begin. The difference now is the mRNA in their medications and the nanotechnology and the abominations that they're trying at all costs to put into every single person on the earth. Right now, over 5 billion people, that's billion with a B, 5 billion people have taken this particular medication, COVID. 5 billion people got deceived. All the pharmacy symbols have serpents on them, and they each represent a different pagan god whose names we will not mention tonight. Those pharmacy symbols should be considered images of a beast. That was our clue going into all of this, along with some of the great men of the earth, the merchants of the earth who were coercing the people to take this particular medication, this particular syringe, on all the TV channels and all the social media platforms through every single which way they could, offering free Happy Meals, free cell phones, free tickets, free this or that. Just put this in your body. 5 billion people got deceived. From Job 18, he shall strengthen those that thirst for his destruction. Did we not strengthen these very men, these very rich merchants? We made them rich enough to pull off their evil plans. We were already deceived. How many millions of us have bought Microsoft Windows or Office? That's just one example of a man, a merchant that we strengthened. He is now a great merchant, a very rich merchant, and now he is pushing this pharmakia. These men thirst for our destruction. Did you know that his father was a trustee for Planned Parenthood? His father worked to find a medication made by man to put in people as a quote-unquote cure for polio, which is now recommended by the WHO in 4 doses for all children. Does that sound familiar? Multiple doses of this medication, put it in children? Oh, the webs they weave. They don't really hide their agenda. The world just didn't pay enough attention. We did not pay enough attention to their plans. We were deceived. But now our eyes are opening to this particular deception, and our Father in heaven is merciful in allowing us to see this deception. Now that we see this deception, should we just go hide in the middle of the woods and never come out? The answer is no. We have a job to do in these times. He told us to reach and to teach and to win souls for the kingdom of heaven until he comes back. In these times, many of us are called to move out of the cities and move into the country, but we still have a job to do. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of the wolves of this land. Be therefore wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. We need to understand what the adversary is doing so we can counter that physically and spiritually to be as wise as they are. And that's what this message, this warning is all about. We speak the truth in love as obedient children and not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance. It is written, be set apart, be sanctified, be pure, for I am set apart. You and I have been created in the perfect image of Yahweh. Don't let that image be defiled. Peter quoted Leviticus 11:44, for I am Yahweh, and you shall be sanctified, and we shall all be completely sanctified. Coming soon when Messiah returns. And you shall be set apart as I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am set apart. And you shall not defile your souls with any of the reptiles creeping upon the earth. Now this is Leviticus 11. This is the food chapter, clean and unclean foods. Why did he mention reptiles in the clean and unclean chapter? Because we know reptiles are unclean, they're not food. Well, because the reptile he is referring to is not food. It's a serpent. The reptile is a serpent. Underneath the physical aspects of the law is the spiritual truth. And the serpents that we need to make sure that we do not defile our souls with is anything that the serpents, the servants of Hasatan, are doing on the earth right now. That's yet another warning for us to depart from the ways of this world. Okay, I showed you the world. It's a deception. Everything in the world is a lie. The world is a lie. Everything that is not of him, it's a lie. Now you saw the seed war, and some people have recognized that to a certain extent. at least knowing that the shots are not good things. But guess what? It goes deeper than that. It's like watching a skilled magician. The magician will show you something that's in his hand, right in front of you. And everybody's looking at his hand. What's he holding in his hand? What's he doing? But no one is watching the other hand, the hand behind his back, to see what he's really doing. The sleight of hand, that deception for the trick to work, is happening in the hand that he's not showing you. What Hasatan, the devil, the magician, the deceiver of this age, what he is doing is he's holding out one of his hands in front of the whole world, and in that hand is the seed war and everything of this world. But it's what is in his hand behind his back that is the most dangerous, the most evil, the most deceptive, the most evil part of the great deception. And we'll begin to cover what's in the hand behind his back next time. This is the great deception. It's time to prepare. Thank you, everyone.